All right, guys, today we are talking about the first few dates. All right, so that could be date number 3, date number 5, date number 7, 9, somewhere around there. But definitely once you get around date number 7, if you're going on date number 7, you probably should be asking a lot of questions so that you're learning a lot of things about this person so that you know if you want to continue with this relationship or if it's probably not something that you want to continue with. So, what happens? All right, guys, here we go. So, if you looked at the short, I said, why don't you ask the important questions in the beginning? And the answer to that I have is that you're afraid. And you're afraid of these things. You don't want to ask because then maybe they won't like me, or maybe they will abandon me or leave me. And the dislike comes from fear, right? You think they might not like you. You don't know that, but you're thinking they might not like you, and that's because of the fear. Dislike is for the people pleasers. All right, so if you're a guy and you're a people pleaser and you always want to do the thing that is right, you always want to do the thing for the girl, if you believe she will not like you if you ask certain questions or say certain things, you're trying to please her. So you're trying to please her, but you're slacking on what you need to do as a guy, what you need to do to have a strong, authentic relationship, and you're just trying to be a people pleaser. All right? Now, we have a lot of guys that do that. So, if that's you, listen up. There are some things that you might want to change, or maybe you don't. But on the first few dates, you want to ask a lot of questions, and you don't want to just ask silly questions that don't pertain to things that are really important to you. So ask the question of, what are your morals? What are the things that you believe in? What are your values? And then ask questions based on that. Now, some of that will be kind of weird, right? First 3 dates, 4 dates, you might want to keep it high level. But once you get past date number 4, I think you have a pretty good idea of where you want this relationship to go. So that's when you start asking these questions that are a little more in depth. Questions about exes. How were those breakups? Have they broken up with 5 people in the last 5 years and they all ended terribly? What does that say about this person? Do you really think it was the other person in all those situations? Or was it the person that's sitting in front of you on the date? Marriages. Were they married? Why aren't they still married? Did they break up? Are they separated? Why? What happened with that relationship that it went to marriage and now it's no longer working? Because that's going to affect how your relationship goes, right? Was it something that they just didn't agree on? And if that's the case, why did they get married in the first place? Are there children? Were there children? Who knows? Are they planning on children down the road? Do they have children now? If they have children now, what's that relationship like? Who's the father? Where's the father? What's the relationship with the children? All of that stuff is very important because it will tell you the type of person that this person is that you're on a date with. And if you're looking to build something long term, you want to have this information. You want to know, how is this person in relationships? How are they in breakups? How are they with children? How are they in marriage? How are they with their parents? Do they get along with their parents? Do they get along with their mom, their dad, their stepmom? Whatever it is, how are those relationships? That'll tell you a lot about how they are as a parent. What's the relationship like with their parents? How are they as a parent? How are they going to be as a parent? Will rely on the relationships that they have with their parents. How is the relationship with the dad? That may affect the relationship with you. So you have to ask these questions. You can't just say, oh, it's not important. We're only on date number 10. If you're thinking in your mind that down the road this relationship will be important, those questions are important now, not later. And here's why. You think you have fear now on date number 10? How fearful do you think you're going to be by date number 20? You're going to be more invested, physically involved, sexually involved, liking this person on all these surface levels. And now you have all the deep stuff that you've never asked, and now you're afraid. Now you're really afraid because you like the person, you get along well, you laugh, you talk, you eat the same things, you have good sex. Fear kicks up. Now you're really scared. Oh, I don't want to lose this person. I've been with them for 6 months. I've been with them for 9 months. So now you have all the big questions, and what happens with the big questions? They kind of get swept under the carpet, right? That's why we have so many relationships with so many people that don't understand one another. They don't communicate in the beginning. The relationship is just okay, and then they stay in it. And then when it gets to the point where it's starting to get serious, they don't want to leave, they don't want to break up, they don't want the person to not like them or leave them. So they just don't ask all the important things that should have been asked at the beginning of the relationship. So if you think you're afraid up until date number 7, you're really going to be afraid after date number 20. Now, here's another thing. If you're a guy who has a complete fear of commitment, and you can look back at your past relationships and what's the trend, are you staying in those relationships and keeping them long term? Or are they falling apart around 3, 6, 9 months? If they're falling apart around 3, 6, or 9 months consistently, you're probably running into a lot of fear. Fear of commitment, fear of being tied down, fear of losing your freedom or your autonomy. You're not consciously thinking that, right? You're thinking, oh no, I'm ready. I want this. But then something comes up. Fear. Now all of a sudden, you're ready to ask these questions because you kind of feel like these questions might break you up, might get you out of the relationship. So if your trend is, I get afraid in 6 or 9 months, you're going to wait until 6 or 9 months. You're going to ask the big questions, potentially break up, and it's not going to really be because this person is a bad person. It's just going to be because of your fear of commitment. And you waited specifically because that's what you do, right? It goes well, and then when it gets too hot to handle, too close, you start pulling out all these things that you can look at that are going to potentially ruin the relationship, right? So it doesn't go beyond 6 or 9 months. In some cases, it might be only 3 months. So if your fear of commitment kicks in and you start thinking, oh, now I'm going to ask. Oh, now I don't care if I'm abandoned. Oh, I don't care if they don't like me. And, maybe I am a little bit worried. It's because the fear of commitment is kicking in, and it's going to be stronger, and it's going to make you do things that you didn't do in the beginning because now you really want to get out of the relationship. So if that's you, what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of commitment? There's a whole nother video I can do on that. That's, attachment style, that's parenting, that's childhood trauma. It could be a number of reasons, but if that's your trend, you have to ask yourself, well, there's probably a reason for it, and what is it? Am I really afraid of commitment? Do I really want to be in a marriage? Do I really want children? Do I really want to start a family? You have to ask yourself these questions, and then you have to figure out why you're leaving relationships in those time frames. So if you're just in relationships and you're dating and you're going out with people, start asking some of the bigger questions in the beginning. That'll help you know if you want to go further with the relationship. Do I want to go beyond 3 months with this person? Do I really think that in 5 years, this person will be the kind of person that I want as a wife, as a spouse, as a partner, as a parent to my children? Ask these questions in the beginning. I would say date number 7 is probably a good time, right? Date number 1, 3, 5, you're kind of getting to know one another, depending on how much time you spend together, right? If your date's a whole day out together, then you're learning a lot about the person in a very short amount of time. But if you're just going out to like dinner, having a couple drinks, and then going home alone or with, if you go home with, you're probably not talking a lot, right? Maybe you are. So if you're in the first 7 dates and you're just getting to know the person, then it's time to start pulling out some of these bigger questions, some of these things that are more important, and some of these things that are more in alignment with your values, your morals, your integrity as a man. What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with this relationship? Do I think this person is the type of person I want to spend the rest of my life with, that I want to introduce to my family, that I want raising my children? And it's kind of like you don't want to wait until date number 30 to find all of this out. Because like I said, you're very much invested at that point. You're physically attracted. You may be enjoying the sexual relationship and the humor and the fun and the spontaneity. But the really important parts of it, you don't really know about. You don't know about their parents. You don't know about children, marriages, exes, anything about their values, their goals, and where you fall into those categories and where they fall into those categories for you or you for them. So if you go out on dates and you're thinking about marriage and a long-term commitment and children and a family, what do you think about asking these important questions within, I'd say, 7 to 10 date range? Do you think that's important? How do you do it, and how's it working out for you? If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and if it's somebody out there that's a friend that you think, hey, they probably need to hear this, go ahead and send the video to them. I'll see you next time.